Are you stewarding well over the talents that God has already placed in you? Or are you sitting on those talents, and are you burying everything and the resources that God has already placed in your hands? If He has called us to it, He has already made the provisions for everything that we need. Hey there, welcome or welcome back. I am so glad that you're here. For those who may not know me yet, my name is Sade Renee, and I'm a faith-based content creator. My goal is to create content that not only resonates with you, but also encourages you and uplifts you along your own faith walk as well. So today I'm going to talk about trusting in God when He asks you to do the hard things. And just like in our part 1, if you have not seen part 1, stop and pause this for a second, go watch part 1, and then come back to this video. But just like that part 1 video, our foundational text is going to be from Proverbs 3:5. But this time we're going to also extend it to verse 6 as well, stating, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct our paths." So just like last week, I told you that for me, the reason why this topic, trust, has been something that I felt so pressed upon to talk about is because this has been something that God has been dealing with me for about a month, if not longer. The thing that I realized that I was lacking in was trust, because I couldn't simply do the thing that God was asking me to do because it was the hard thing. God, for me, He had asked me to start speaking and not being afraid to speak. And I'm one who, I don't mind being behind a camera. I don't mind sitting in a row and listening to what people have to say. But never in a million years did I think that God was going to have me to have to speak. The main thing that I think that I've been running away from, or trying to get myself to do anything but that, because it's just so uncomfortable for me. It is, like we said, God asking me to do the hard thing. God is going to always ask us to do something that's going to be outside of our comfort zone. He's going to always ask us to do something that is going to cause us to be willing participants, to have to sacrifice something. He's going to always call us to areas where it's going to cause us to have to trust on Him so hard and be solely dependent on Him, so that we would not be able to act in our own strength or accomplish the task that He's asking us to do in our own strength or our own ability. Because if that was the case, it wouldn't be the hard thing. So again, this is the hard thing for me that God is asking me to do. But I'm sure there's something in your life, an area that maybe you're trusting God in that feels like the hard thing, an area that maybe He's calling you to or asking you to do, or maybe even He's asking you to sacrifice. And it's requiring a higher level of trusting in Him that it has not required in the past for you. And so it is going to take a step of faith. It's going to cause you to have to choose and make a decision, to have to put your feelings aside. It's going to have to cause you to step outside of what you would normally do and how you would normally move, because it's going to cause you to have to push yourself, that even if you don't believe that the thing that He is either going to call you to, or the thing that you're believing in Him for, can even happen or will happen, because it just seems so far-fetched, you're going to have to come to this new level of trusting and building faith in Him. And in order to do that, I realized that it is not an overnight process. It might be some missteps along the way. It might take you a little bit longer than what God has been asking. Maybe He's been asking you for weeks. Maybe it's been years. Maybe it's been months. Maybe it's been days. Maybe you're quicker at moving than other people. I know for myself, I was a slow mover, and it did cost me. The more that we take time to put our full trust in God is the time that we're also stalling, and we're also causing ourselves more harm, and we're prolonging what God is trying to do for us, or prolonging where God is trying to take us. And so I'm trying to tell you so that you can hopefully learn from my mistake of procrastinating and stalling, when all we have to do is one thing, is a faith move of trust. And yes, it's going to be hard, because when God calls you to do the hard thing, it's exactly that. It's hard. It's not going to be something that makes sense to you. It's going to be something that's going to have to cause you to not lean to your own understanding. And as long as you put that faith and trust in God, who will, one, never fail you, 2, he is going to always be there for you. And 3, he's going to always be there to help you. If he calls you to it, he's going to have to provide for it. And we know him as Jehovah Jireh, who is God our provider. So he is never going to fail us. One thing that came to mind that is so befitting for this area of trusting in God when he's asking us to do the hard things was the parable of the talents. And the story of the parable of the talents can be found in Matthew chapter 25 and verses 14 through 30. And the reason why that parable stood out to me clear as day is because God himself was dealing with me on that, and how if God is asking us to do a certain thing, and the only thing that we have to do is trust in him to do it, we are doing a disservice to sit on the very thing that he asks us to do and not put our faith and trust into action. The parable of the talents is a prime example of what it looks like for a person to take the resources that God has already placed in their hands and bury them. We've seen that from the man who buried his talents and got nothing on the return on investment, to the point that the master took his talent and gave it to the person who was the great steward of the talent, and which is the resources that God has already given the one who stewarded very well. So in thinking about that and pondering about that parable, I realized that I was sitting here basically not moving forward because of fear, not moving forward because of my distrust in God, not moving forward because I'm trying to figure out and rationalize all the things that I have the ability to do or not do, or me trying to rationalize if I feel like my personality matches what God is asking me to do, or if I feel like what I'm capable of even is something that matches what God is even calling me to. And a lot of times, I'm pretty sure, like myself, you guys are probably on that other side as well, feeling the same exact way, where God might be calling you to something that is difficult or seems hard or seems outside of the scope of what you know, or maybe might not be in your ability, or might even be you switching something that you know completely. Maybe he's asking you to switch your career up, or to step out on faith and leave a job, or to step out of faith and leave a hometown that you're used to and go somewhere completely different. And God calls us to some really hard things that in our natural mind, we cannot comprehend the scope of where he's taking us, and it doesn't make sense. And we will sit sometimes way too long before we actually step out on faith on what it is that he's asking us to do, because of us trying to comprehend all the things that make sense with our reasoning and our logic. We will be exactly like the guy who was not being a good steward to the talent that the master had given him, and instead he hid what the master had already given to him in his hands, which is just like us a lot of times. We would sit on the resources that God has already given us. We would sit on the talents that God has already birthed inside of us and has already placed inside of us. And just because maybe those talents might not have been activated as of yet, because we're not stepping out on faith, or God hasn't elevated us into that next season when those talents or the resources that he has already gone before us to provide for us, that maybe we don't see it yet, but it's there even before we get there. It's there. If he has called us to it, he has already made the provisions for everything that we need. He's already placed in us everything that we need. He's already given us exactly what we need to start, even though we might want something bigger and better to try to keep up with the next person, or to try to compare to other people around us. Or maybe he's asking us to do something where people are already activating themselves in that field or that industry that he's calling us to. And so we're looking at the people who's already arrived, and we're trying to compare to where we are in our starting process of trusting in God in that area. And we're not even realizing what we already have. So in this case, for example, for myself, God was asking me to speak and put out content. And for me to speak and to put out content, I was looking at all the people who are already great speakers, people who have already been before me doing these things, people who already have a following, people who seem like they already have an aesthetic, people who know how to carry themselves a certain way, and just me downing everything that God has already placed inside of me because I didn't understand where he was taking me to or where he's going to take me to next. I was just looking at all the things that I feel like I was not good at doing, what I didn't feel like I was comparable to do, what I feel like I lacked, what I feel like wasn't good enough, what I feel like I didn't look the part. All the things that will make me count myself out. I feel like I couldn't speak a certain way that will be concise and make other people comprehend where I was trying to come from, that I couldn't get my thoughts together very well. But just like the parable of the talents, if God is going to ask you to do something, he's already given it to you. So now the question will be proposed. Are you stewarding well over the talents that God has already placed in you or has already asked you to do or has called you to? Or are you sitting on those talents and are you burying everything and the resources that God has already placed in your hands? Again, if God is calling you to put out content, are you sitting on the talents that he's already placed in you to speak or to just prop up your phone and record because you're comparing yourself to other people who might already have a camera and lighting? If you only have a phone and a window with some natural light, then hey, it's a start and you already have the resources that it needs and takes to get to where you need to go next. And you have to start and trust there. So that's where I am now. And so I wanted to share that and share where I am in my journey with me, one, already failing because I was lacking trust, and then showing you where I am now, where I'm starting to build my trust and step out regardless of what I think and regardless of what I feel and regardless of what I can comprehend, even though I don't understand where God is taking me to, because I want it to resonate with you. I feel like there's so many people on the other side of the screen, just like myself, who is finding themselves in an area where they realize that they're feeling stuck. And for some reason, you just can't push past where you know that God somewhere deep down inside of you is telling you to go. And for some reason, it's been a fight for you. And for whatever reason, you feel like it's been spiritual warfare just to move forward. I just want to let you know that I understand exactly what that feels like. And in order to push past that, it's going to require just one step from you. And then that step is just to put your full trust in God. This is my trust and faith act right now. And I want that to be an example for you guys, as well as something that encourages you that you didn't come across this video by an accident. The reason that you're here and you're listening to a topic about trust is not coincidental. If God has been pressing on your heart and has been dealing with you in this area for some time, I want to let you know that this has not been by an accident. And I want to encourage you in that journey of wherever it is that you're going. I know that God has something great in store for you. So I want to see you guys win. I want to see you guys growing in the things of God, as well as myself. And in order to do that, we're going to have to make sure that we're putting our full and complete trust in him. It is the only way that we're going to be to step out on obedience. It's going to be the only way that we're going to be to carry out this walk of faith, because without trusting in God, we can't do anything else but to lean on him. And the only way that we can get his help is we're going to have to trust. Whatever that area is that God is asking you to, it might seem hard. It might be difficult. It might feel a little shaky. You might be wondering where the resources are going to come from. You might be wondering who's going to be there to help you. You might be wondering how in the world are you going to even get to the next step of where he's trying to bring you to. I understand exactly what you feel. I'm currently in that season exactly myself. But one thing that I do know for sure is that if we're doing our part and trusting in him, he is not going to fail us. So that's all for today's topic. I pray that was an encouragement and a blessing to you for this week. I want to remind you to make sure that you never miss a moment by subscribing to this channel, as well as making sure that you activate the notification bell to make sure that you are aware of all the latest drops. As well as, if this was something that was encouraging and helpful for you, I want to ask that you share this with any of your friends and family or someone that you think will benefit from hearing from this message today. Again, I pray that this was an encouragement and a blessing to you, and I hope to see you in the next episode.